There we go. So I naturally came onto seated position on a blanket, and I'm actually going to have you slide that out of the way. You can keep your blanket if you have one if you're cold, and put it over your back because we're going to start on your stomach if that's comfortable for you. You are welcome to unfold your blanket and put it right under your hips here if that you need a little more padding. We're going to rest our hands atop one another, take our feet out wide. So to the corners of the mat, and then just rest our head on the top of our hands, stacked hands. You might shift your hips from side to side till you get that settled point in. Mm, Pick up your head one more time and just gently rest it. You don't want to flatten the cervical spine. You want a slight arch in it. That's the natural um, alignment. And then you can already hear me kind of sighing it out. So I'll invite you to do the same with 3 breaths. Deep inhale in and loud, audible exhale through the mouth. And 2 more at your pace. And 1 more. We'll just kind of use those as the setting aside of what was happening before we arrived here and the arriving and landing part of our beginning of class. And then just let the breath come naturally. No need to manage it. And as you just let the breath breathe you, allowing yourself to settle into your body right here, right now, just as it is, and as always in my class, with curiosity, compassion, and kindness. And then sometimes, or all the time, we endeavor or begin to endeavor to accept what is as it is without judgment. But to get to that place, we employ a lot of curiosity and compassion and kindness, and that's what we'll do today. And in a deeply untraditional position, maybe even taking a few moments just to tune into yourself and offer yourself as I offer to you. Namaste. There's something quite sweet about that namaste for me. I think in just this kind of holding and closed position, I felt it wash over me and found connection. Perhaps that's true for you. And if so, perhaps choosing to stay connected to that connection as we move through class. And just letting go of what we've been doing and coming up onto our elbows, elbows under wrists. I'm actually going to grasp my hands and we're going to pretend like we're 8 and we're watching television on the ground in our parents' family room. And we're going to bring our legs up behind us and windshield wiper from side to side, like you would do when you were a kid. I've got my shoulders shrugged up, just rocking my hips a little bit side to side, starting to open the hips I can feel this curve in my low back, so if it's too much, you can come down off of your elbows or even rest your head back on your palms. And we're starting this process because this month we've been exploring twists. And the way we've been getting into them is kind of in a three-part series, returning your legs to the mat. We've been working on opening the hips and the side body so we can turn from the abdomen, the upper torso, the shoulders, and then the fourth part would be the head. And we'll take that kind of incremental idea today again. So sliding your hands back under you, and the temptation is to have you guys do a push-up, but I'm just going to have you rise up onto all fours. Putting a blanket underneath your knees to pad if you'd like today. And my goodness, all sorts of things happening on my behalf today. To pad your knees with a blanket. And we're going to take some cat cows. I would offer that you could try tucking it with the, try practicing it with the toes tucked under. I like the support that it gives my knees, but certainly uh, tops of the feet flat on the floor are always invited. If you do that, really make sure you're pressing the top of the foot into the mat as well as the toes on each foot. So tucked under, and you'll find here, and one of the things we'll start to explore is in this cow position, I've really sunk in and my core is hanging out, and I've got this deep arch in my back, which is nice, but I want to make sure that I'm protecting my low back here. So what we do, and we both are experienced in this, is we do this kind of attaching of the belly button. So I've got my finger in my belly button to the back. If I had a belly button and back, there would be a seam connecting them. And then I just gently lift up in that belly button and kind of tuck it over, which helps engage my um, pelvic floor as well. So I go from here, I attach that belly button, lift up and over, and I've got stability in my low back. It doesn't feel like such a deep, uncomfortable back bend, particularly if you have some lumbar issues. So lots of explanation. And from there, I don't get as far in the low back in this arch as if my core were just dropping, but I do feel more stable. I can push through my shoulders with greater um, strength, twist out, and then let go and round up. Now, if you'd like to take it the other way, always in my class, it's a lean in, lean back, or let go of what feels good for you. But I know that I have a tendency to curve in my low back and use my low back for things that it wasn't necessarily designed to do. So anytime I can practice some core engagement and protection of the low back, I do. I'm actually going to shift down onto my forearms here because that's going to feel good. It gives me a little bit different sensation. You're welcome to do so. I'm going to find that instead of dump, I'm going to find that tuck, attach, tuck, and pull up. Head is in alignment, and then move into cat. I'm sorry, cow. Every time I do that, I think my head wants to put them in alphabetical order, which is why cow often becomes cat and vice versa in name, not action. What I really like about practicing this on my forearms is I get this nice chest opener. I can get into my lats and in my traps and in my serratus versus when I'm on my hands. It also gives my wrists a break, which is great for when we do other things. Couple more cat cows. And if you notice here, we're starting to open the shoulders and lengthen through the side body. All important factors when we engage in our twists. Last one for me on the cat cows. And then up, back up to all fours. Move your blanket out of the way if you have it, and come back down onto your belly. Rest your hands on your head on your hands for just a second. feet back up in the air, swinging them from side to side. And if you've practiced with me before, and I know that a couple of you have, um, you'll find I often do the same pose at the beginning, somewhere in the middle, and then at the end. So I can see what's come undone, what's come together, and what I've learned about that pose that might make it different for me. I mean, good different, bad different, but different. And so with one more breath, knowing that we're just warming up and we don't have to take this to the max, we're going to slide our left arm out. Hand's going to rest gently, so we're not starfish like arching our fingers. I'm going to slide our right hand in the line with our breast, and you can take a block or blanket. I'll demo with a blanket to rest your head. So turning your head to the right, left arm out, right hand by the chest. We're going to gently just start to roll open to the left. Our right leg's going to come with us. And for right now, if you can, just step the foot on the right side of the body. So not behind the left leg, but in front of it. And you should start to feel a pretty intense shoulder opener. I would suggest to lighten the load on that, you certainly use a prop to support your head or don't roll as far to the left. Maybe even scriggle your foot, right foot towards the edge of your mat to take off some of the intensity. And you're even welcome to rock back and forth in that, just gently. And now maybe just take your fingertips and set them on the floor. And see if you can come to stillness if you've been rocking. And we'll take 3 breaths. And after your third breath, just slide the right leg back out long. Tent your hands on the right, fingers on the right hand if they haven't, and slowly start to roll back to the right. Allow that left arm to drag behind you, your head to rest on your hands or on your blanket or even on a block. Bringing that left arm in, right under the shoulders, and just moving them around a little bit. And with curiosity, checking out the difference, if there is one, between right and left. How does it feel in the back body having done that? And then maybe taking the legs up one more time and swaying them from side to side. And you know what? That feels totally different left to right all the way through the sway for me. How about you? And then coming back down, and we'll take this on the other side. So right arm goes out, left arm comes to by the chest area and tented fingers. Head turns to the side and rests on the mat, blanket, or block. And then we just pick up our left leg and slowly start to roll to the right, stepping that left leg, if we like, to the front. You're always welcome to deepen the intensity by stepping it behind, but because this is the first bit of work we're really doing with the shoulders, keeping it in front and maybe even squiggling it away from you helps manage that intensity level. You don't want to push too far, too fast when we're just working through things. And then rock back and forth if you'd like. Play around and see what fits for you. I'm going to actually scoot my arm out a little more and then find that spot with curiosity. Find that spot that's, the hair's breath between discomfort, lots and lots of discomfort, and like, where I could hang out here. Otherwise known as the place of, I'm getting something here, but I'm not hurting myself. And then 3 breaths. And then, like before, slide the leg out, roll back onto our bellies, Slide that arm out, see how it feels. Bring it back in and move those shoulders around. And bring up the legs and windshield wiper them one more time. And then dropping the legs and maybe moving your blanket or block out of the way. Pressing up onto all fours, switching around to a seated position, doing a little bit of work on our bellies and backs before we get standing today. And we're going to roll onto our back. So I'm going to have you roll onto your back and hang out here. You're welcome to, I guess, actually sit up if you want, so you can see what I'm talking about. We're going to work on abdominal bracing, which is what the name sounds like. It's where we're bracing through our core, but we're activating kind of like top to bottom. And when we do this activation, it's not just date muscles. It's deep, deep transverse abdominis muscles that help us move upright and keep us safe when we're lifting. So what's the point of this, right? Why are we going to do this, Amy? Obviously, we're going to employ it in a twist because we want strong abdominals when we are toned abdominals when we're twisting, because that's going to help us stay safe, stay deeper, and really engage. But also, abdominal bracing is what we want when we move through our daily life. So it's this idea of when we're squatting and picking something up and carrying it, it's not our low back just doing it, but we're really going, this, my core is activated and my core is helping carry whatever I'm doing or bend or whatever. So, long explanation for that to say on our back, legs come to a 90 degree. And what you want is for your low back to be flat on the mat. If that's not going to happen, if there's a big, big arch there, or even a little arch, and you're having a bit of a time getting the low back on the mat, you can take a blanket and tuck it under you and create the mat for your, create more floor for yourself. So maybe something like this, where that low back is flush. And then once that low back is flush, here, float those legs up in the air into reverse tabletop. Now, when you come into reverse tabletop, you may find, oh, there's a little arch in my back naturally. So this is where we do that belly button to back, pull up and under, and then kind of actually roll slightly the tailbone towards our face. That engages the low back. I'm already working. How about you? Because my legs are now floating up in the air. So for the next 30 seconds, we're going to take our hands to the tops of our thighs. Low back is engaged, or otherwise known as abdominal is braced. And we're going to gently push our palms into our tops of our thighs, right above our knees. Push our palms in and up slightly, starting now. And we're just going to feel that core engagement. I'm already shaking. How about you? Pull in and up through the core. Low back stays attached. Press into the legs and gently, like thinking about pressing them up. Engage, engage. You got this. 8 more seconds. Press. 4. Find it again, and release. Whew. Rock side to side. Bring the knees into the chest, or even just take a quick stretch. We're going to do 30 more seconds of that. I can hear the cheers already. So, having kind of taken whatever you need, take a beat, settle in, and think about what worked and what didn't work for you. And maybe even be a little curious and think about how you do twist usually, and think about how a twist might feel with this kind of happening. The next thing we're going to do when we add this is there's a tendency to want to flare the ribs. And by that, I mean this. We're going to bring them and stack them on one another, or knit them together is another way of saying that, when we do the next 30 seconds together. So back on your blanket, all that business we've been doing with our core, you can kind of let your legs hang for a second down. Now find your ribs. Be aware, is your chest flaring up? And if it is, slide your fingers right underneath where your um, rests are. Wrap them around, fingers to the front, thumbs to the back, and lift up like you're trying to lift, someone's trying to lift you up from that area. Tilt your fingers forward a little and set it down. So, what I often say is it reminds me of putting a cup properly in a saucer. Then float your legs back up. So now I've got this real engagement through my ribs. It's kind of tight. I am finding that core engagement again that we talked about. Hands slide back to that position, and we're going to wait just a second. And here we go. Press up and in. 30 seconds, guys. We got this. So I'm pressing my palms into my legs, and my legs are resisting, and there's just a hint of them trying to press up and away. I'm going to find that core again, make sure my ribs are attached. And we got 10 seconds. We've got 5 seconds. We can do this. I'm shaking like crazy and release. How about you? All right, knees in, stretch out, whatever feels good. Maybe shake your fist at me if you like, because this next suggestion is going to be this is something that you can practice, and I encourage you to practice every day. Abdominal bracing is one of the best things we can do for overall strength and stability and mobility. All right, so from here, bring those legs back up. And let's just take a happy baby. Hands can slide to the edge of the pinky toes or grab onto our yoga clothes or our ankles and just open up wide. Maybe even rock side to side a little. And then coming back to center, dropping the right foot to the mat. So kind of at an angle out, letting the legs splay open, and then just pumping that left leg into its socket 3 or 4 times. And then taking it out to the side 3 or 4 times. So I'm not straightening the leg out to the side as much as just pumping it out to the side, if you will. There's still a deep bend in the knee. We're just doing a really quick trip to our hips, letting it go and exchanging left for right. So right leg comes up, left leg splays out and open. We pump on the right side 3 times, 5 times. And then we pump out to the side 5 times. So a quick trip through our hamstrings, quick trip through our hip mobility, a nice break for our core. And we've already opened up those shoulders quite a bit. Nice. Then release, rolling onto the side, rolling up, coming back onto all fours. We're not going to be here long, but we are going to be in a lunge position. So if you want to pad your knees, please do so. Stepping the right leg through, framing by the hands, and then picking up that left foot, tucking it under, pressing up so the knee lifts and sliding the knee back a little more. Untucking the foot for a low lunge. And then just take the right leg, which is in front, a little wider than directly center under your body. So it's almost like I can tuck my right knee underneath my right armpit over here. Starting to feel this stretch through my hip flexors in here. Taking your left hand flat on the ground and out wide. So it's not wrist shoulder alignment, it's actually a little beyond that. And taking your right hand and actually touching the back of your head. So instead of having the elbow pointing to the ground, it's pointing out. Now find that core again that we just worked so hard. So that might actually mean that you engage and lift slightly out of your legs instead of dumping into them. And then from that position, find that core one more time and start to twist open to the right. Not very far, just through the core and maybe mid torso. And then bring your elbow towards your mat on the inside of your right leg. Let's do this 3 more times. So twisting open, bringing the elbow in, twisting open, bringing the elbow in. Then coming back off of that for a second and just tucking that back toe and pausing and considering how that felt. It's a form of a twist. It's not one that we practice very often, but we've got the element of opening and closing happening, twisting to the opposite direction. But sometimes a twist can just mean opening from one plane to another, which would be from this plane to this plane, or this plane to this plane. So let's try that one more time, two more times, what we were just doing, and see if we can't get a little farther in our twist when we do this. And the way we're going to do this is in the three parts that we practice. So we engage through that core and we twist first through the core because our hips are stable. Then we're going to take our hand and twist through our mid chest, and then we're going to twist through our shoulders. So I'll turn this way, I think, so maybe you guys can see it. Take that left hand out wide. And for this first time, wrap your right hand around about where your belly button is and say, okay, I'm going to do that engagement. All right. And then with those fingers wrapped, start to gently pull, twist open from that position. I haven't gone very far, but I feel that core engagement and I've got a twist happening. Then I'm sliding my right arm up to right underneath my breast, maintaining the integrity of what I've just set up below, and I'm twisting open through my chest. All right. And then that's when I'm going to take my right hand and float it up behind my head, keeping everything from the hips, the core, and the chest. I'm going to open up through my shoulders. Nice. Engage that core, maybe even float the arm up in the air. Right leg can kind of come out to a angle, engage that core, and maybe even twist open a little more. Head can look at the hand directly ahead or down on the ground. Then we come out the opposite way, fingertips to head. Head turns down, shoulders come down, torso comes down. And we just slide back, tucking those back toes, straight leg, just a little bit of hamstring work. Rocking back and forth 3 times. And then with our right leg out where it is, we're going to heel toe it off the mat even more so it's to our side, and kind of this really wide lizard. Hands come back under shoulders, tuck the back toes, engage that core, press into the hands. We're going to press into this really awkward downward facing dog. So you might have to shorten your stance on the back leg. Back leg heel thinks about the floor. You might have to walk your hands forward a little as well. So we've got this awkward angle happening. And I'm rocking back and forth in those hips from side to side. And then let's just play with what we've talked about in terms of twist in this position that we wouldn't naturally think to twist. So finding a block if you need it. I'm going to put one right underneath my face and I'm going to take my left hand on it. I'm going to pull, if you see, I've got that dump happening. So I'm going to do like I did with cat cow and pull up and in. That brings stability into my upper body and helps my legs engage. Fingertips on the right hand, kind of got this head alignment happening. And I'm going to float the right hand to a pocket if I had it. And just like we twisted a minute ago, we're going to do the same thing. So engage through the core, twist through the core, twist through the chest, then twist through the shoulder. It's not going to be very deep, but engage through the core, chest, twist. You can float that arm up behind you, keep it in your pocket, bring it out to the side. Gaze can be in front of you or down. This is a really awkward position for twisting. Yes, my legs are working hard. This could compromise through my low back. But once I find that core and engage it, and then twist from the strength in my core, that allows my torso to twist open and then my shoulders, which we've stretched. Release, and then exchange left for right. And we're going to talk about what we did just a few seconds ago, which is a twist can be changing plane. Doesn't have to be changing to the opposite direction. So we are in a plane where we're facing down, right? All of the things that we talked about when we twist it to the right are going to apply to the left. We are just changing the plane so are we're twisting open to face that side. So pressing into the legs, engaging the core again, drawing up and in. Right hand is on the block or floor, fingertips if you need. Left hand comes to the pocket. And I'm going to engage that core. I'm going to keep my hips stable. I'm going to turn my belly button like I'm shining it to the wall behind me. And then I'm going to turn from my torso and shine it to the wall behind me. And that decides to bring my shoulders along with me. And then my head. And I am going to choose to keep my head level with my chest. So I'm looking at the wall. And I can take my arm behind me. I can lift it up, drop it in my pocket. I can even float it up and over in this really awkward position. Low back is totally stable because bracing through my abdominals. So awkward, so weird. What are we doing? I would never do this in real life, right? Come back out and down. Except that you would. Because how often do we contort ourselves to reach that or grab that, whatever that looks like? And this is where we really want to be mindful that we're twisting in a way that is keeping the integrity of our structure. So let's practice this on the other side because we can. Left leg comes forward, toes tuck under on the um, back leg, slide back and out, drop down into a low lunge. And again, got the left knee under left, almost like it's trying to crawl under my left armpit, and my hand is out a little farther than usual. And we're going to do this bent elbow twist open action. So fingertips come behind the head, twist, and then bring the elbow towards the floor. And we're not twisting very deeply. We're just twisting long enough to kind of warm up and understand how the body's moving. This is a moment of curiosity for us to figure out how things work in our body when we engage in a twist the way we know. And we're going to come down, rock in and out of that for just a second, come up, and think about everything we just went through. So we've been lengthening through the side body, and we started that when we rolled on either side. We've been opening up through the hips with the happy baby and the pumping and the sliding back and forth. And we opened up through the shoulders, right? When we rolled to the side and we did that cat cow, especially when we did it on our forearms. And then we just decide if our head's coming along for the right or not. But we've really worked all of this, which will help us with our twist. And then we've really talked about it a lot on the right side. So let's see if we can put it into action on our head on the left. Coming back down, bringing those fingertips in the head. Let's drop the elbow down like we know. Before we go anywhere else, set it up. Engage that core, which creates a slight lift for me. Press up into the hands. Take the left hand to the top of the left knee. Find that core again. Cast your gaze to the tip of your nose or the mat directly underneath you. Engage that core. Even if you want, sliding that left hand across your belly button area and twist just from there. It's going to be a small movement, but you're working hard now. Sliding the hands up underneath the breast, twist from there, and then allowing the shoulders to float open. So rotating the shoulders up, back, and down to float open, pressing into the left hand, loading it up nice and wide, then heel toeing the left foot out a little bit, pressing into the right hand. Find all of that action again and float open. Twist, untwist the way we came out. Bring the fingertips to the head, turn the shoulders, turn the chest, turn the abdomen. Hand comes back down. Slide in and out just a couple times into a hamstring stretch. Then we did this really super awkward downward dog. So I think I stepped my foot out a little wider, almost off my mat. Walk your hands out a little farther in front of you, tuck that back toe, press into the hands, engage your core, and imagine that it's your core pulling your legs straight. So pull that up, press into the hands, tuck the back toes, press and pull up through the core. You'll see this great arch in my back. My core is working hard. I'm going to shorten my stance on the back leg and stretch that out. Oh, rock from side to side. Make any spacing adjustments you need to for your limbs. And then, if you have it, finding that block and it goes directly under your face. Right hand comes to the block, left hand comes to the back pocket. And we're going to twist awkwardly like we did before. If you notice, dip in my back, so pulling up. I'm even going to say, hey, I remember my ribs and attach, kind of set those on top of one another. Float my hand back, engage that core, press into the feet, press in, up and away through the legs, nice and strong. Turn from the core, turn from the chest, turn from the shoulders. Float the arm out behind you into your pocket, maybe even up. Mine's going to hang out in my pocket. My head is going to turn down and to the side. Like a cross between downward dog and pyramid. And it's a crazy pose, but we're safe in it because we've got the core engaged deeply. We know how to twist properly. We come back down and then we exchange left, right for left. And we move into that opposite plane. So we know what to do. Core, 3-part, 4-part. Once we add the head and float up. An opposite way, head, shoulders, chest, abdomen. Drop everything back down, move the block out of the way, all fours into downward facing dog. Just walk it out from side to side, whatever might feel good for you. Then beginning to slowly walk your feet to meet your hands into a forward fold. Hands can rest on blocks, hands can rest on fingertips, hands can rest on shins, maybe even bringing your thumbs to your hip crease, sliding them in there, pressing those hips away from you as you fold over, micro bend or even deep bend in the knees. Tick-tocking it out if you'd like. And then grabbing your block again, putting it underneath your face, hands on thighs, and gently rolling back up for now. So we're not hanging out too long in a forward fold while I chatter. But think about how often we do this pose, right? Woo, like I don't even think about it. I'm just going to twist open. I'm going to do it, pop in my knee, and I'm just going to let my back kind of get involved in this and whatever. We want to take everything that we've been practicing, everything that I've been blowing about, and see what that feels like when we engage it. See if it changes our twist, and if it does, how does that change the twist? So, from your standing position, float the arms up overhead, bring them through heart center and Anjali Mudra. Deep bend in the knees as we gently fold over, keeping the head in alignment with the spine as we bring our chest towards our thighs, dropping our fingers back down and floating the right hand to the block. Slight bend in the right knee. Left hand floats to the pocket behind us And then twist open how you know how you usually do. Whatever that looks like. Just take an engagement with it. Close your eyes and get a sense of how it feels, what's working hard, what's not. And float the hand back down when you've got that and come back to a forward fold. Now, thumbs in the hip crease, pressing it back. Shift your weight into the front of your feet and then the back and then balance. Right hand comes to the block. Left hand comes into that hip crease. And then we engage that core like we know how, that attachment, pull up and under. And I've already got a slight lift happening when I do that, making sure I have that bend in the right knee. I'm going to just rotate that belly button like I'm trying to shine it to the side of the mat. Then my chest naturally wants to follow. I'm going to let it, I'm going to really find that core. Press into that right leg, press into that left leg. Let the shoulders follow. Press into the hand on the right. Engage that core. Press in and away on those legs. Engage that core. Oh my goodness. Then float the left arm up and over behind you. See if you can just start to slowly straighten that right leg a little. I'm working so hard in this. How about you? And then float the arm back down and reach it under your body across the opposite way and see if you can open back up, keeping your core engaged the whole time. So float down and under, because how often do we reach across ourselves for something? Up and down and under and up. Press into the knee, core engage, twist, 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 open. I think at this rate, I could come to fingertips because my core is keeping me so safe. I've got this alignment happening. I've got a bend in the knees. I'm steady in my toes. I can even float my hand up. How about you? Because my core is activated, and it's holding instead of my fingertips. Fingertips come back down, hands to pocket, head, shoulders. We know the drill. And then hands to thighs and gently roll back up. All right, shake it out. One more side, one balance pose, and then we'll come back to the mat. So left leg is going to have the bend in it this time as we twist to the right. Inhaling the arms up, floating them back down as we come into a forward fold, gently folding. Left hand comes to the top of the block. Right hand comes into the crease on the right thigh and kind of pushes that back. I see this kind of dip in my back, so I find my core. You can see the lift that happens. Can you feel it in you? Set my ribs on top one of another. And we can even try this trick if we want, where we slide our arms in and think about shining our belly button, pulling it towards the edge of the mat. And slide our arm up underneath our chest. And then allow our shoulders to float open. Hand can stay in the pocket or come up behind us. Bend in the left leg. And float up and open into a twist. Then float back down. Slide that right arm through. And open back up. See if you can do this activation of everything we've been doing with movement, because movement is how we would be doing this in our daily life. And keeping that core engaged that way helps us move with greater stability, integrity. And then engage that core even more. See if you can float your hand up off of the block. And see if you can take your fingertips to the floor and float them up like your belly button is pulling your hand up. And then return to the floor of the block. Come out the way you know how. And release. Float the hands to the either backs of the legs and come up with the straight back or tops of thighs and roll up. So, what's the point of all of this, right? The point is next week, we're going to do the twisted version of balancing half moon. But for today, we're going to do balancing half moon. So you have the week to put it all together in your head. If you wanted a thought, come and either way, come back next week and we'll do it together. So we'll practice on the right side. You're always welcome to practice against a wall if you have it. Have your block handy, and it goes up 6 inches and about out 6 inches from where you're going to be. So from a standing position, let's float the arms up, come into a forward fold, and set ourselves up for balancing half moon. So position your hand or block where you need it to be on the height it needs to be. Again, it comes up and away from your foot. And I'm going to say that we know how to do this cue without much pose, without much cueing for me, because everything that we did today applies to this pose. So what would that be? Well, the first thing would be that hip crease in the forward fold, then the core and the ribs, right? And then we're going to take our hand to our back pocket. And remember when we did that out weird downward facing dog and we just changed the plane of the twist? That's all we're doing here. So step that left leg back behind you, rest on the ball of your feet, put a bend in your right leg, like we just did in the twist that we did, standing twist. Press into the right leg as you press hard. Use your core to pull the left leg up. Head stays in alignment. And if this is where you are today, this is awesome. Hips are both facing back down. You may add on, you may lean in or lean back by rotating the left leg open. Now, just like we did in that downward facing dog, engage the core and pull it in, set the ribs down, leave that left hand on your pocket of the left, and rotate up and open, otherwise known as twisting open. Engage the core like your core is pulling the left leg into itself. Press into the right foot. Expand that left arm through the core like we did when we lifted our hands in that standing twist. 3 more breaths. Hand to pocket. Undo by turning the leg. Let the core guide the leg. Step back down and come up. How was that for you? It was good? So, as a little preview, next week will be, yeah, next week will be a rotation like this, which adds on to all the things we just did, incorporates them all together. So, practicing this, we balanced on the right side. We're going to balance on the left side. So, setting yourself up on your mat, arms up into a forward fold, hands through heart center, and then readjust again. So, hips, thumbs and hip crease press back, rock your weight back and forth until you're stable. Set that block or hand where you need it, and slide the right foot back, bend in the left knee, ball of the right foot, engage that core, pull up. You know what to do. Set it all up for yourself. Put your hands on your body if you need to. Press into the left leg, straighten, 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 and let the core float the right leg up. Find your stability. Rotate the right leg open from the hip and the core. And then pull yourself open like you know how. Still a twist. Still changing the planes and twisting our body open. Again, use the wall, use a block, touch down if you need to, wherever you are today. And fall out of the pose. And then float back the opposite way like you know how. Step back. Roll or flat back up. Shake it up. All right. Lots of good work today, lots of talking, but lots of principles that help us in the pose work that we're doing and as we move through life. So make your way to the ground, all fours. And then just from all the work we've done, slide back into a child's pose. You can rest your hands on your head on your hands again. You can take your arms out leg for long for extended child's pose, or just wrap them behind you and let the body settle. And then sliding onto all fours, we're going to move into Sphinx pose. So patting your hips with the blanket if you want, as we just come down onto our forearms. Let's practice with the toes wide on the mat so we're not putting as much emphasis on our low back. Shoulder, elbow alignment, hands face forward, and this may be where you are. You're welcome to gently engage that core like we have been, not super hard, but just a light engagement, and start to drag your elbows back to yourself as you sink into your shoulders, roll them back and away from you. Gaze stays at the top of your mat, tip of your nose. And what I am getting here is a nice stretch through the core that did abdominal bracing in about 300 different directions today, starting with the actual abdominal bracing. And you're welcome to come out of this and come back in, or just really soften it by not pressing, pulling back and pressing as high up. And then releasing everything back down, hands on the top of the heads on the top of the hands. And we do that windshield wiper again with the legs. Releasing the hands, pressing back up. We've got one more pose. Coming into staff or dandasana, we move into our comfortable seat. So flesh gets tucked out of the way. And I'm actually gonna, you can sit on, I'm sorry, you can sit on a blanket if you need to. Actually, lots of different options. And I think it's important to teach them when we do this, since it's our last pose. I'm gonna sit on a blanket. You can just kind of put a fold in your mat to achieve the same effect. And then I'm going to move that flesh out of the way and start to lengthen through my legs. I don't want to lock out the knees, so I have a pretty deep bend in them right now to keep myself safe. And I am actually sitting on the edge of the blanket a little bit. Then I'm going to slide my hands in between my thighs, and I'm going to cup my right hand at the bottom of my left thigh and the left hand on top. And I'm just going to slightly turn, move that flesh towards the outside, and do the opposite side the same way. That's helping me lengthen quite a bit. And then we can put a block at our feet. We can also choose to make this more restorative if you want and roll another blanket under our legs or tuck blankets under blocks underneath our legs or just keep them nice and long. It's up to you. I will practice a little bit both ways so you can see, and maybe even you try both ways and see what feels good for you. Might have to do some adjustment again. Now, if you notice, like I've leaned forward quite a bit, my belly is resting on my thighs, my shoulders are rounding back and down. So, for one last time, can you find that core, which is actually going to be the opposite of what the same as what we've been doing, right? It's going to be almost like this puffing of the low back as we engage. And then from that low core engagement, we grow tall. So we roll back. And with the strength, with the bracing that we have happening here, we're able to lift up nice and tall. We can even do that ribs set, stack. This is a lot of work happening right here, right? This might be it for you, or this might be it for you. Your choice. But if you'd like a little more, see if you can take your hands out to the side. And instead of letting momentum float your arms up, think about the string attached to your wrist from your belly button and really lifting up out of the core to float your hands up, sliding them in through heart center. Thumbs come again to the hip creases. Press down into the hip creases, and with that engaged core, slowly start to fold over. Keep that bend in the knees, dig your heels into the mat, and come into a forward fold of your choice. You are welcome to round if you'd like, or if you'd like to try and practice by keeping more of a straight back, you can rest on blocks, whatever works for you. Just a quiet forward fold, but make sure that your low back is protected with the abdominal engagement we've been practicing. And with that, you might be able to straighten your legs a little and really dig your heels in and allow your head, instead of rounding down and in, just to maintain that alignment with the cervical spine. So that might mean gazing at the tip of your nose with eyes closed or open, or directly below you on the mat. And we'll take the few moments just to settle into what we've done. It's also one last compression for our intestinal area. One last amazing benefit we're going to get from twist and compression for our digestive health, for our, I can't think of the word, lymphatic health. And when we know when those two are firing well, we are firing well. And then when you're ready, just sliding the hands back up your legs or walking them back on the mat, bringing yourself back to an upright position, pausing for just a second. Maybe even one deep inhale and exhale through the mouth. And with that, settling into the shavasana of your choice. Maybe resting on your back with a blanket underneath your legs, knees, tops of your hamstrings, or blocks, or on your stomach like we were before, or resting on your side. Whatever calls to you, bringing whatever supports you'd like with you. I used to cue what shavasana should look like quite a bit. And then I realized, you know what? We've been curious, we've been compassionate, we've been intending to be non-judgmental, and we know when to lean in, lean back, or let go, which means we know with kindness the best shavasana for us in this moment. So, what does your body call for right now? Allow that, and then notice your breath and let it be an unmanaged breath that you notice. And then as you notice that unmanaged breath, let your focus be that for a few more seconds as you let the temperature in the room slide away. The sensation of the mat and earth below you slide away. The outside noises all kind of just float away as you notice this unmanaged breath. And let each breath peel away another layer. until finally what's left is you noticing the breath. And let one breath peel away the noticing as you arrive here right now, just as you are. Then, and only when you're ready, slowly, slowly, slowly beginning to become aware of your breath, the rise and fall of your abdomen and chest. And with this awareness, engaging just enough to decide if you'd like to continue your Shavasana or roll to a cradled position, spending a few last moments. And if you're in that cradled position, rolling farther into it and using the strength of your arms to lift yourself into an upright position, settling in, either by remaining in your Shavasana or closing class with me, resting your hands in a way that feels true and authentic for you. Today, and usually for me, that's both hands on my heart. I bow my head and invite you to do the same in acknowledgement and gratitude for who you are right here, right now. And I offer to you my gratitude for the privilege it is to spend time with you this week and for the courage it takes to show up as we are. It is indeed my privilege. I am so mindful and so grateful. Thank you.